Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having an amazing day, guys. In this video, we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, I want to talk about the Champ Chase tournament that is coming up for this weekend. And there's something new in here that we didn't have before, and that is mythical relic material from the Forge Pass group. Now look at that. Wow, who could have guessed it, right? We're going to have mythical relic mats from the Forge Pass group. We didn't have it before. And yeah, who could have known they would put it in a tournament like this and, monetize it indirectly? Well, there it is, guys. So I know, not a lot of people will get these mythical relics, but it's definitely going to be more than 0.00001% of the player base. Now that's going to change for a fact. The more we get these relic mats in these tournaments, the more people will have these relics, right? But yeah, so let's talk about them. Let me move myself on the other side so you can see the relics. All right, so we have the famous Dread Bomb here, right? That Bronco used in one of his Sanguine Maria showcases where everybody was like, nobody's going to have that one. Well, like I said, that's going to change now. And yeah, so the relic itself is very, very strong, right? It has a nice main stat, 40% crit damage, and then speed as a second stat. So overall, just the stats in general, the combination of stats is very, very strong, right? Crit damage is hard to get, speed is hard to get, and then we get a little bit of attack on top, but it doesn't really matter that much. So the effect is that the wearer has a 10% chance to gain an extra turn when attacking. Now, if you rank this up to level 6, you will get an additional 10% chance, right? So with each level, you will get an additional 2%. So maxed out, it will be a 20% chance every time the wearer attacks. The wearer also ignores 10% of an enemy's defense when attacking during extra turns. And this is amazing, right? An additional 10% def ignore from a relic is very, very strong, considering that you're taking an extra turn, right? Or you have a chance to take an extra turn, and you have all these stats combined. And not only that, you can also fit in, 3 of the most powerful shapes of gemstones in here, which are the triangular ones. And I talked about this with, Cruzen. Maybe you want to check that video out. I'll put it in the description below. And then on top, we also have a circular gemstone. So you can fit in 4 gemstones in here that would also have a synergy with extra turns in case you get them. So yeah, pretty strong mythical relic overall, and I think there are a lot of champions that this would be good on, right? Pretty much any damage dealer almost. Then moving on to the Immortal Visage. So again, a very strong main stat, which is speed, right? Those are the most powerful relics at the moment. Most of the time, right, we have, for example, the Crown of Corruption, which has been nerfed, but it's still very strong. Then we have Hollowed Hilt, also has speed main stat. And then we have also the Chrysalid of Rebirth. I don't know if there's another one, but you get what I'm saying. If you have the main stat as speed, it's very powerful on your speed booster, and therefore it becomes a very strong relic, despite of the effect that it does. Now, this effect is also very strong though. Once per round, wearer is revived with 50% HP and 50% turn meter, and with every level, you get an additional 10% on that. And if it's maxed out, you will get 100% HP and 100% turn meter. So you basically have a Wukong passive for once in a round, right? So pretty damn amazing. This can definitely win you a arena battle, for example. And yeah, pretty strong effect, if you ask me. Also has, 4 different shapes of gemstones, which is also pretty interesting. And yeah, definitely, one of the better relics in the game. One of the better mythical relics for PvP. But not only are the mythicals good in here, we also have 2 solid legendary relics. The Bane of Cintranos. Again, a nice stat stick with 96 accuracy. Whenever an enemy receives a buff, the wearer has a 15% chance of getting the same buff for 2 turns. That is pretty interesting if you face somebody that is putting up block damage and you steal that block damage, and put it up for 2 turns instead of 1 turn, for example. I think that is how it works. Now, you can get it up to a 30% chance, which is quite high. And yeah, overall, not a bad relic. And then the Blades of Akumori. I saw people use this on a UDK. So whenever an ally is attacked by an enemy, the wearer has a 15% chance of placing a provoke debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. And if the UDK provokes an attacker, yeah, that is pretty much GG, right? So it's again another 30% chance to place that provoke. It's just for 1 turn, but still, you know, you can pretty much keep the enemy team locked out with this. Sort of, right? It also has, you know, okay stats. I mean, accuracy as the main stat is not bad. Some HP, nothing really game-changing here, but if you put it on a tanky champion, you know, have like 2 turns of stone skin on him, make him very slow, and then keep provoking the enemy over and over again. The only thing that can happen here is that you get polymorphed, right? That is kind of like the downside of it, or a wand can reflect it, right? And just in general, these relics have, some of them have really nice stats, right? This has 96 resistance if you max it. I mean, even if you take it to 4, it will still have a good chunk of resistance, right? And that is really hard to get for some players. So if you manage to craft this one, you know, this can be the one piece that you are missing to get to a good amount of resistance, or if you try to reach a resistance threshold for a dungeon or something. So yeah, pretty amazing as well. Also, you know, decreases the damage you receive for each debuff you have, which is kind of a contradiction to the main stat here, because with resistance, you want to resist debuffs, right? So I don't know about that, but, you know, still okay, I guess. And then this one is also pretty interesting because whenever the wearer heals an ally with an active skill, has a 10% chance, and, you know, on level 4, this has a 17% chance to decrease the cooldown of one of the wearer skills by 1 turn. This is actually also pretty good for PvE content where you try to get your cooldowns back if you have a healer, a reviver, or something. That can be really good there as well. And also the rares are not bad. I'm not gonna lie, they are definitely better than some of the other rare relics there are. So this one right here lets the wearer deal 2% more damage if all allies are alive. And you know, this can be, for example, a 5% damage increase on level 4. If you max it out, you can get 10%, but I wouldn't do this. You know, it's not game changing, but still, a little bit more damage is definitely not bad. And then we also have the Frost Spawn Cocoon. And this is also pretty interesting. The wearer is healed by 2% of their max HP when using their default skill. And yeah, this can definitely help you to solo things in, you know, dungeons or whatever, to keep your champion alive. If you take it to level 4, every time you use the default skill, you will heal by 5%. If you have like 100k HP, that's a 5k heal right there. So yeah, overall, I would say the Forge Pass relics have really good quality overall. And yeah, I think they're really good and worth to go for if you have the resources. If you are a spender, I would definitely go for the mythical mats here out of the Champ Chase tournament. Now, I don't know how they're going to be rewarded. Are they going to be, you know, available from the milestones? Do you have to place on the leaderboard for them? It could be anything. It could be milestones plus leaderboard. So I don't know. I don't know what's it going to be, but what I do know is that we're going to have a 2x for Sacred Shards this weekend, which is not ideal for Champ Chase tournaments. Ideally, you want to have a 2x on a lower shard, like an Ancient Shard, Void Shards, you know, something like that, to have a higher chance on getting epics. A 2x on Sacred Shards is not really doing that much for you on a Champ Chase tournament. I wish I would have saved up my Prism summons for this, but it is what it is. I had to make sure to get that finer, you know, so there we go, server maintenance is what it is. Yeah, if you have some Prism summons saved up, you know, you can use them for this Champ Chase tournament. Just don't click on the summoning pool until the Champ Chase starts. And yeah, that's pretty much it about this video. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. The YouTube algorithm's going to suggest you a video that you might like right here, and see you in the next one.